Hello, Carla.
Hi, Natalie.
It's good to have you on the connection experiment.
It's great
And
to
it's
be here.
been, yeah, it's been a little while since we've seen each other, so it's really nice to catch up with you on this venue in particular, but loving that I get to have an hour with you to just dig into what you've been up to. But also, I'm excited to dig into your wisdom. And I think it's going to be great for our audience and really just insightful because a lot of what you've done is, in my view, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from where I see, it's the movement, the dance, the physical, the somatic aspect of connection, and I think that has a huge part to play in leadership in the corporate world and or building a brand, all of the parts of I guess growth in career and growth in life. So you described yourself as a connector and an executor, and I'm curious
Mhm.
about what's the dance between connector and executor.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me today. And the the dance, the harmony between connection and execution is one can't really thrive without the other.
Mm.
And to me, that looks like, where is the connection within the work that we do, or even within our families? We're both mothers, and whether it's with our families, whether it's in our businesses, whether it's with clients, um, that connection's got to be there first. And so once you establish what that connection is, what does that vision and dream look like, and then how do you begin to execute? Because we can't you know fulfill a dream without execution.
Mm. Yeah, and that actually makes me think about goal setting and the vision for the execution. So what are you connecting to and what are you executing for? What role do you play with your clients or in your work to establish that clear vision for like what what the work is about?
It's two parts really, because it will depend on whether it's my own projects or whether it's a client. So if it's a client, it's very, I would say it's almost a little bit more black and white. It's almost easier because they have their own vision and you just have to merge with that. And so bringing that idea of what is their vision, and really removing my own biases, removing my own um, concept of what I think it should or shouldn't be, and just um, it's kind of like there's a saying of like, it's very old school. By no means does this reflect anything really other than just the statement itself. But there's an old saying in for when women back in the day got married and they joined the families, and it
Mm,
was always they always said it's wise to wait a year. You just allow whoever the elder is to lead the way, or whoever. So if it's a client, you look to who is the person that is leading that, whether it's the CEO or it's whoever it is that you are collaborating and reporting to, and or just collaborating as a one-on-one client, and allow that to lead the way, and really just meet them where they're at. And that's something you very much taught me personally yourself, which was the idea of simply meeting people, including ourselves, exactly where we're at, right then
mm.
and there, and then begin to look at the vision and go, what can I bring to the table that enhances their vision? So that would be more so when I'm working with a client. If I'm working with myself, it's very much I have to look at the cause.
Mm.
Again, everything is outside of me, I would say. Because again, if I'm building something, I'm not building it for myself, I'm building it for a reason. And that reason is a cause.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, I'm currently working on a project that has a few potential names and a few potential arms and a few potential partners. But really, at the end of the day, that cause has to do with self regulation, it has to do with joy, it has to do with movement in many forms, it has to do with fun. And so for me, that North Star, that cause, is to see people go from here to here,
Hmm.
right? Or here to like to move and flow. And for those that are listening, maybe not seeing our video, my hands were moving fastly up and down,
Yeah.
and then maybe just a little slower and less manic up and down for anyone that's just listening in. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you're moving into flow. And I like what you said about less manic. That
Mm-hmm.
feels more aligned, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I think maybe if we back up to, I met you when you were just exiting, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, a pretty healthy, business that you had built in the dance
Yes.
world. Do you want to say a little bit about that and maybe catch me up on like what's been transpiring for you since that and because there's a lot of I think wisdom in that journey that you took from building that business and community. I remember it being so strong in community. I think you were probably one of the first people in my business journey that brought to light how important community is and the difference between community and audience. like
Mm.
like what do you call them, followers today? Maybe I don't know what the word is, but like
Yep.
community versus customer, I think is the
Yes.
thing. Yeah, so I don't know where you want to start with that, but maybe take
Yeah.
us back to your journey through business. Yeah.
Yeah, so my business background is it's funky, it's janky, it's a bunch of cartwheels and knee slides and visions and executions really at the end of the day. And I didn't go to university or school. I was an accidental entrepreneur. I started my own business ventures when I was probably about 23, I think 20, I think I was 23. And I'm in my mid 40s now, so as you know, I've seen, I'm sure anyone that's been in the entrepreneur world knows that there's no way there hasn't been multitude versions of parts of myself and my businesses along the way,
Hmm.
right? So the one that you're referring to, I had a dance. So for anyone that's listening, I come from a very heavy duty dance background. So I was a professional dancer. I've been a dance educator. That was one of my first jobs. I was 13 years old when I started teaching dance. Um, and still very passionate about it to this day. I will still, it's a little itch I've got to scratch, even if it's just fractional or through certain projects. I still really love it.
Hmm.
Once a dancer, always a dancer, as they say,
Yeah.
or once a dance teacher, always a dance teacher. So yeah, I did everything from dancing on cruise ships to film and television to making a debut at a private event at the Playboy Mansion. To it was just really fun.
Well,
And through that process, I started the world's first heels dance syllabus. And when I say heels dance, I mean this was in the early to mid 2000s. So it's like imagine how Beyonce or the Pussycat Dolls were dancing in heels. So I taught women and those in the feminine collective that wanted to move in a feminine way to dance like that. So I had a cabaret group,
hmm.
and these women would come that I had with a bunch of friends of mine, and it was so much fun. And you know, we would have women come to our shows, predominantly women that had no dance experience, and they were like, "We want to learn how to dance." Like, Carla, do a class. You're gonna do a class. Literally, I had friends like hound me, and I was like, "Okay, I'll do this class." It's sold out. It's sold out,
Well,
and people kept coming back, and the women were like fanatical about it,
hmm.
and Pardon me. Sorry, I'm just getting over a really nasty summer cold, so don't mind my voice if it goes a little here and there. Um, yeah, so it's it's it went from these classes to, choreography style, to then a program. So at the time, I was choreographing and producing cabaret shows for the girl group that I was in, and for other acts that I was working on. And then I had an idea through my mom. So shout out to Debbie Catherwood, for giving me the idea and concept of putting my students in there. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea, giving them the opportunity to perform in this really beautiful venue, beautiful space with other great performers. And I was like, I love that. And sure enough, that's what just latched on. And everything else fell away, and Army of Sass was built.
Army of Sass, that's what it was. I was trying
Army
to
of
remember the name.
Sass
Yeah, it's so good. It was so
was the
good.
name of the program, and it was heels dancing for women and the feminine collective. And I say feminine collective because, I mean, we were inclusive before that was even part of the conversation. At the end of the day, if you were, whoever you were, however you were, if you wanted to dance in heels and you were willing to show up and have a good time and put the work in, the door was always open. And it still is to this day, anytime I work with anyone. And yeah, so I created this program, and then I had people in the dance industry. The dance world's very small, like any industry, and I had people in the dance world come to me and say, "Oh, you should franchise this. I'd love to franchise it." And so I thought, oh, that's interesting, because I had a few people say that to me, like, I want to do that, but I don't know how. I'm like, okay. So I started researching, and I had a mentorship, a mentor, business mentor, who still mentors me from time to time, who specialized in licensing. He was actually the key licensing director for Disney in India, before he moved to Canada. And he was actually a client of my mom. So my mom was a small business teacher at these programs in BC back in the day. So when the time came, my mom asked if he would mentor me on this licensing model. And shout out to Nick Noorani. And he helped me. He helped me build that out. And so what I realized was that you couldn't franchise creativity. You can't. You just can't. It doesn't work. You can franchise food. You can franchise anything that is
Like a process, I would guess, right?
like a color by number, really. If it's a color by number, you can franchise it. But if with dance and movement and choreography, like, it just didn't make any sense. So that's where he gave me the idea, like, you don't need to franchise. He's like, and also I looked into what franchising costs to A, create a franchise, B, that you would have to sell them on. I was like, I am the other them. Dancers do not have that kind of money unless you've fallen into it some other way.
Yeah.
So, the industry's not really built like that. So yeah, I looked into it, and I created basically my own licensing model. So I worked closely with a team of lawyers to build that out over a period of years. And long story short, Army of Sass was a great time. It was across Canada and parts of the US. We had 40 plus locations throughout the 5-year stint that I was licensing. And where you come into the mix is there was this moment in, I think it was 2019, where I really hit an edge with, because I was mentoring and coaching my licensees. So they were licensing the business. They themselves were leaders within their own communities. And I hit an edge where some of these licensees would come to me with problems that were really not black and white. It had a lot to do with emotional intelligence, problem solving, personal reflection, and I just didn't have the tools. I came from like an old school dance background where it was like literally like shut up and do it. Like, I don't know. Like and so like yeah, you do it or don't, and don't get hired or you get fired. Like, it's just it was very black and white back in the day. So in my mentality, that was the nature of how I was brought up, with execution and working with problem solving, was just like kind of pit through it. If you're done with it, be done with it. If you want it, you push for it. And again, hitting these edges with these softer skills that I just didn't have. And so, of course, Googling coaching and what is this coaching thing that's happening? And I think I need to become one, and I need help with this. And yours, I did my research, and Natalie's, yours by far was the most superior. I wasn't looking for a weekend certification. I was like, I need actual tools. I need to actually learn how to guide other leaders in leadership. So I've got to learn these skills for myself. And sure enough, that's where we met. And it was in November of 2019 is when I had my weekend here in Toronto at the Old Mill we were chatting about. And
The old mill.
good old Mill.
Yeah.
And that weekend changed my life, and it really opened my eyes to how I can help other people, really, at the end of the day. And so through that process, it was great. We're doing our online cohort after, doing our classes. And I was actually in the process of selling my business. So I had some conversations that previous spring, realized it wasn't quite time. So I was working on my books. I was working on, working with some consultants and other people that I just leaned on, that I knew and trusted, that had a business background, that could, take a look at everything and say, ask, what am I missing? I've never done anything like this. I've never built a successful business and then sold it. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. So, just trucking along, doing my thing. And well, we all know what happened March of 2020.
Right.
The world shut down, and so did my business. That business died overnight. The conversations of selling it died overnight. The profits plummeted from multiple six figures to almost nothing overnight. And, being in the dance, studio, and performance sector, it was every sector of ours got nailed. We, of course, moved online. I myself was also experiencing my own journey with burnout. I had my daughter, so I opened the licensing business, like the model itself. It really kicked off in 2015, and I had my daughter 2016, and everything just was growing and building and just like a freight train with no brakes, like no speed control. It just was like full force. And scene two, I get to 2019, which is one of the reasons why I just wanted something different. I've been solely in the dance world my whole life. I really, really was inspired by the work that I was doing with you, Natalie, everything that I was learning through that process, and really wanted to help other founders and other businesses find their way, and without having to go through the level of burnout or challenges that I did. And so again, taking kind of those pain points, turning them into that purpose and the reason why I wanted to do that. And so yeah, my daughter was young, schools were opening, closing. It just was a lot. And my husband, well, now ex-husband, his business at the time was very much exploding. So it was like this. We decided for me to take some time to close the business, take some time, figure out what it is that I was going to do next. And it just was between 2020 and now, so over the last, 6-7 years, has felt like a very wild river raft ride. I don't know how else to explain it.
As you just told the story, because I remembered you were selling, and then I lost track of when COVID hit, and the nature of your business was so physical and in person. that must have been quite devastating. And
It
to be at
was.
that stage of about to sell
Yeah,
what was
and
a very beautiful business at the time.
yeah. And it was less of the selling and more of like passing it on, finding the right person or right people to allow that legacy to continue, because it would that program still to this day, women will stop me or will be in conversation. It could be Toronto, it could be Vancouver, it could be Calgary. Like, you are the army of stuff. Like, it changed my life. I did X amount of sessions, and we had thousands of members. I didn't know everyone. Not everyone knew who I was or that I even existed, and I was totally okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because every location had their own leader, so that was really where they looked to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And which was the point, which was the whole reason why I built it that way, so then I could share what I was experiencing with other people so they could do it for themselves. And so, the heartbreak really was the loss of legacy, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm just thinking about the world of community that you built. When I was young, my mom put me in tap and ballet and jazz, and I remember the year-end show, and it was the
Yeah.
big, most exciting thing in life at the time. You had this, everybody looked forward to it, and it was the big day, and the costumes, and the flowers, and the
Yeah.
backstage. And I and that was my biggest memory of community, actually, if I think back to my childhood. And then you took that to the next level to an adult community where people can reconnect with that joy of dance, but also of connection to each other, to something they love, to do it together. And I guess what I'm wondering now is like how do you translate that? Like, what does community mean to you today?
Community to me means a few things. So, I, of course, have a very close inner circle in different pockets of the world,
Mm,
different pockets of the country, different pockets of everywhere. And I stay very, those that I love, they know I hold them very dear and near to my heart. And I make a valiant effort to gather with people, to meet, to connect, to um, keep the friendships, keep the business colleagues close to me.
mhm,
Um, and in regards to community at a larger whole, uh, like I said, I feel like I'm coming out of this in between bridge where I didn't necessarily have this big community that I mean, that community still is there. It still exists. The dance world, I still am very much involved in, not as much as I used to be, but I mean, like I said, once a dancer, always a dancer. If I ever needed anything from coast to coast in Canada in the dance world, one call, one text away, and vice versa with all of these people. Um, but I am definitely very hungry to build community again. And I feel like my life now has the bandwidth, um, being, separated in the process of divorce, having going through all of these personal challenges as well through that period of time. It was both professional and personal. Luckily, not at the same time. Thank
mhm,
God. I think
mhm,
the universe gives you what you can handle.
mhm.
But it was like it's almost as though I'm starting with a completely fresh slate. Except this time I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
tell
Whereas
me,
before I just was blindly knee sliding through life. I don't know how else to explain it. Just like, woo, this is
well,
exciting.
it sounds like you trusted your instincts. I just read a definition of trust, which I love.
Mm,
Um, um, I will come back with who created the definition. I can't remember right now.
yeah.
But the definition was to be confident in uncertainty.
Mm,
And I like that because what is trust? It's trusting myself, that I
Yeah.
will be able to figure this out, whatever comes. I think
Well,
ultimately, mm,
the cause is greater than your fear.
mm, yeah,
So again, going back to
yeah,
that idea of a cause. What is
yeah.
the cause? Like my fear doesn't matter because that cause is so important that you just forget about the rest.
Yeah, and I think you're touching on something which I was actually really excited to talk to you about because I know you know your business journey and it because a lot of people in our community, coaches starting out, building their practice, people transitioning from long-time careers where they were the subject matter expert, moving into a career that they're trying to marry their expertise with this new venture and this certification, or
Mm-hmm.
they're planning a career in retirement. But it all involves a lot of uncertainty, right?
Yeah.
And the question that I get asked the most is like, how do you build the confidence to take the steps you need to take without knowing how they're going to turn out, right? We talk a lot about imposter syndrome in our community. And I wondered about like what do you think is the thing people need when they start something like a coaching
Yeah,
practice?
it's remembering that it's not about us, that it's about the cause, and the cause are the clients. The cause is the other side. So
Yeah.
when you start to remove yourself from the vision and know that you're there to serve, because you're excited for this cause because it's in you. It's your calling, right? And you're excited to facilitate because you care. And
Mm.
so just knowing, and instead of it always being reflected back to self, we're bystanders of the cause,
Yeah.
right? We really are. And I think if we can remove the mirror from ourselves and just look to who and what we wish to help, we wish to, um, what change we want to make, what impact we want to have, and let that be the driving force, and the rest will naturally fall away.
Yeah, a lot of people will get caught up in niche. What is my niche? Where will I what's my target audience? Who am I serving? And when I listen to your story and if I think about my own journey, I took your path, the calling, and I trusted that whatever was going to show itself, as long as I was really clear about what my cause was, really clear about what I believe,
Mm-hmm.
that I would attract the people who believe what I believe. And
Absolutely.
so the niche got really broad actually. I don't know if you can call it a
Yeah.
niche if it's that broad.
Yeah.
But I realized that my niche wasn't industry or market. It was more about uh, a belief system. And I wonder, what would you say to somebody who says, how do I figure out what my niche is?
I mean, I, I, I dance with this a lot too. And one of the
Mm,
reasons why I wanted to sell Army of Sass was because I felt too niched in.
mm,
And I was like,
mm,
I feel too pigeonholed and I don't like it.
mm.
I need to be free. And again, going back to what is the call versus what the niche is. Um, what is the call that you have for yourself to work towards? How do you want to help people? How do you want to make a difference within the work that you do? What does that look like to you? What does success look like to you when you work with a client? And if it has nothing to do with age, sex, any of that kind of stuff, like then just let it be. It doesn't, you have to look to the North Star of what the calling is. And give it time. Start with one place in space, and it may or may not, sometimes people's niche is that it's inclusive,
Mm.
is that it's open for everyone. Unless
Yeah.
you're feeling called to pull in on something specific, I think just relax. Don't worry about it.
And when you say, to do it again today would be different because you've learned from that experience, what is the wisdom you're taking forward in your next opportunity?
I mean, always, it'll show itself. Start somewhere small, but start with something that feels really authentic to you, that feels really exciting to you. Find that problem that you're looking to solve, and just create, whether it's a practice, whether it's an event, whether it's a space that helps people solve that problem. And your people will find you. And just start there. And by nature, you'll figure out what you like and what you don't like, or what resonates with people, what doesn't resonate with people. And, Army of SaaS, it really was like an almost 20-year body of work. Like, the licensing model didn't happen overnight. I started teaching classes in 2004, and then I had multiple locations before the quote-unquote licensing model, but it was a different business model. It didn't really quite work. It was more like where I was in charge of them, and it just didn't work like that. People needed autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to do their own thing because I just wasn't physically there. But the licensing model started in 2015, ended in 2020, at the end of 2020. So yeah, it was really like a 20-year body of work from top to bottom. It just lived in different versions. So don't get so locked in on what you think the big vision needs to be. You can have that. That's good to have. But where can you begin today? What resources do you have? And just be open to letting it incrementally become what it's meant to be. Because it will show you. Your clients will show you, the experience will show you, the community will show you what they need. And just keep catering to their needs, because that's part of your calling. Not for people-pleasing reasons, but really just, if you can be indifferent about the how, but you're clear on your calling, just unclench, let it go. People get so I've been a victim of that many times, but I've also been very successful at flowing with it as well. So the times that I really locked in and tried to keep planning and executing, I would say was really between, I would say it was like 2021 to 2025. And it was like block after block, because I was trying to push a thing, what's the next big thing. And it's not about the thing, you just got to start with your why, build a little something, and go from there.
I really love how you say let go of the how. That's a powerful message, because we can get so locked in on how that we forget what we're doing and what it's
or
for.
why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to circle back to my question around the difference between audience and community, because I'm hearing so much passion and love for community coming from you, and I think I heard you say that you're excited about your next opportunity to build community. What is the difference? Because a lot of people struggle with, a big part of building a business is is loyalty from customers. It's
Yeah.
building a brand that people can identify with, and not just the product that you buy and then put on the shelf, but the experience of it. So, what is it for you? What would be the difference?
Is it unilateral or is it collaborative? Meaning,
Hmm.
your followers, your, um, you know, subscribers, whatever you want to call it, are, you know, it's a very unilateral way for things to move, right? Um, Whereas people in community, they have skin in the game. There's something that is in it directly for them, and I don't mean from a transaction solely for, I mean everything is transactional to a certain degree at the end of the day, but not solely from a transactional place. There's that saying of like, people will often forget what you said, what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So if you can create an experience, if you can create a practice, if you can create really anything that helps guide people closer back home to themselves, to help them feel more like themselves, for them to feel joy, for them to feel lighter, for them to feel a sense of inner connection, you will have a community member for life.
Hmm. What's the role of connection to self, to others? How do you build connection in a digital world today?
Again, looking to who and what or why are you looking to serve? Those of us in the service industry, it's called service industry for a reason. We are here to serve.
Mm.
And I don't mean that in a old-timey kind of inappropriate way. I mean, we're here to literally serve the greater good of our cause, right? So whether it's a one-on-one client, whether it's an event, whether it's building your whole Coach Academy community, so then other coaches can feel supported within their own practices. That's what's, yeah.
Yeah. And what are you called to now?
It's interesting. I would say one of a few things. One is definitely stability.
Hmm.
After such a wild and windy 5-6 years, I definitely feel very excited about stability.
Mm.
Personally, professionally, all of the things. Stability
Hmm.
is very sexy to me, and 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 definitely building community again, and helping again serve the greater good. And my North Star, it really truly is, always has been, to help people just come back home to themselves at the end of the day and
Mm.
feel more like themselves. And I think the niche that is, whether you want to call it a niche or not, but the lane of which I'm looking to, not looking, I already am working in it, is self-regulation. you know, Whether it's through movement, whether it's through client work, whether it's through events, through community. Certain parts are already built out and doing their thing, and certain parts are in conversation and in the building phase and in the dreaming phase. Yeah.
So, in your experience with dance and movement and the somatic aspects of, you know, actually coaching has a lot of somatic principles to it when we think about the body work and where does the feeling live in the body. What would you tell people right now who want to understand the role of body mind connection in, like, what you say, returning to self, or clarity of what a person wants? What's the role of body mind connection?
Everything is connected at the end of the day. excuse me, like I said, getting over this nasty
Yeah.
summer cold. Um, Everything is connected. Our nervous system is connected to our mind. Our mind is connected to our body. It's everything is one.
Mm.
So when one is stuck, it will affect the other. So, you know, to me, I think, looking at that mind body connection, knowing that whatever your physical ability is, whether it's moving your head back and forth, whether it's going for a run, or going out dancing with friends, or whatever it may be, movement is a vital part of self-regulation. And so is reckoning with yourself, which is the idea of meeting yourself where you're at.
Mm.
We have to continually meet ourselves where we're at, and most importantly, befriend where we are. Because a loving reminder, and I say this a lot in whether I'm teaching classes at Jaybird, or I'm teaching dance classes, or I'm with clients, or I'm on a podcast. At the end of the day, where you are right now in your life, you're not early, you're not late, you're
Mm.
exactly on time. So
That's
just,
such a yeah.
yeah, we're exactly on time, because it's when we start to try and push past where we're meant to be, or pull back because we feel down or scared, it throws us off harmony. And when I say harmony, I just, in all honesty, I don't believe in balance a lot. I think it's kind of bullshit. Pardon my
Mm.
language. I think it's kind of like perfection. It's like a fleeting moment.
Mm-hmm.
It exists, but for a fraction of a moment,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just moves. So you have to keep readjusting. You have to keep going. So to me, harmony dances, harmony moves, and so do we. Whether you're actually dancing, but like our lives, they move. Our emotions, they move. Our relationships and the dynamics within those move. And so we've got to continue to meet those and befriend them.
Yeah, and it sounds like flexibility is a requirement. Like I often say work-life balance is not, it doesn't exist. It's work-life harmony is what I'm after. It's what I
Yeah.
pursue because I can't compartmentalize work and life. It's too intertwined for me. So there has to be that flexibility, that flow, that harmony. How do you stay connected to values then in a world that is very consumer driven, but also the demands of life, like your daughter, your work, the things that happen in life.
I think it's finding your baseline in life, whether it's the work that you do, or the activities that you're signing your kids up for, or the activities you're signing yourself up for, whatever it is. I think finding what is that baseline of your life. What is that? What do you want it to look like? What do you want it to feel like? What do you want it to function like? Just, but then still give space for to push forward or to pull back. And of course, have that future self vision. So when you have that future self vision, you can then go, oh, where is that North Star that I'm looking to build towards? And anything that comes to you, straight up, if it doesn't match that vision, it's a hard no.
Mm.
But part of that, being able to have that clarity, is having that baseline. Because without that baseline of a harmonized personal and professional life, of like, the day-to-day things that we need as humans to live on this earth, it's going to feel more erratic. or you may say yes to things when you don't mean to. Really, it doesn't add to your future self vision, but you're scared because something is lacking from the baseline. And so you grasp onto it. And you know what happens? It pulls you a little further away from where you're meant to be. So I would say concentrate on your baseline of your life first. Build out what that vision is. Well, first, build out your future self vision. What do you want? How do you want to live? How do you, personally, professionally, within your family life, whatever that may be. Then step 2, figure out what that baseline needs to be. Build that out, secure the bag. Once you're there, then you can go, okay, I'm open to receiving. I'm open to giving. And if it doesn't match your future self vision, it's a hard no.
Now, baseline sounds a lot like a boundary, like a
Yeah.
clear boundary that you measure yourself against.
Yes. And not just a boundary, but also like a safety net.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that the fear lives in ambiguity. Like fear and uncertainty live in ambiguity. And so
Yeah.
I feel like the work we do, especially as coaches, to clarify what's important
Yes.
to people, that's a huge added value, especially people who feel like overtaken by fear and uncertainty. When we get more clear, that fear dissipates.
Absolutely. When we can get clear on what we want instead of what other people want for us,
Mm.
we can then begin to, and sometimes it's as simple as your baseline can be as simple, say everything else is in line with your life, great, but you feel unclear about what your vision is because everyone is telling you to do this or asking you to do that or thinking you should do this. Put all the noise to the side. Yeah. Allow, for us as coaches to work with our clients, is our job is to help reduce the noise of the outside world and provide a reflective space that feels really authentic for them to feel safe to discover what's real for them right now. And then give them the building blocks to step by step move towards that. Whereas if you don't remove the noise first, how can you do any of the above? You can't, it's very challenging.
Yeah, turning off the need to, have to, should, those voices and those external pressures that we feel. I really love how you describe the coaching space as that opportunity to, well, return to self, to remove the distraction that we are constantly, pulled into.
Yes.
What's one thing that you've learned about, well, maybe about people that has surprised you in the context of community and connection?
Everyone just wants to be seen.
Mm.
Literally seen in their own way, their own light. I don't mean necessarily on a stage. People want to be seen. They want to be heard. And sometimes people are seen and heard just by bearing witness, or just by being a part of an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can see themselves or the very thing that's missing within something they're experiencing. So it just brings them closer back home. That's it. But it also, within our practices as coaches, us allowing this space for them to actually be seen and be heard with no biases is what I think is so special. We're not here to solve anyone's problems. We're helping them, guide them to solve their own. And I think that is one of the most beautiful things about coaching.
Mm-hmm. When you say experience, like people can feel seen in an experience, I think of a song, the lyrics of a song that you identify with. You're not in the song, you didn't write the song, it's not your
Yep.
song, but you
Yeah.
hear those lyrics and you see yourself in them. That's
Yeah.
like being seen, I think. And
Absolutely. Yep.
yeah, that's so interesting. And the coaching space is almost like that because I think the coach's role is to witness what's going on, and that space of witnessing is where a person feels seen. But I don't mean, like you say, not pointing out what they see, just creating space for what they see to emerge, for
Mm-hmm.
this person to show themselves.
Yes. For exploration for them. We're not on a time crunch when we're working with people.
Mm,
It's just it's exploring the unknown and
mhm.
allowing the client to discover themselves by
Yeah,
turning over one rock at a time. That's it.
yeah. Well, as you know, this podcast is called The Connection Experiment, and it is because we like to leave people with an experiment at the end, something that they can try, something that they can be challenged to embrace and for, this week, couple weeks coming. What would you challenge people to try as an experiment? Maybe in terms of the body work that you do, the dance, the movement around connection, establishing connection with others. Do you have a challenge for people?
Oh, I have two.
Oh,
Is that okay
amazing.
to do?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. The first one is simply, can you receive?
Mm,
Because I think most people that are, I believe it, a lot of coaches are watching or listening in, and those of us that are facilitators, we give, we give, we give, we hold, we hold, we hold. But I ask you, where can you learn to receive, receive, receive? And again, come moving back to that idea of harmony. Um, and when we can receive, whatever that looks like to you, maybe it's an invitation to dinner, maybe it's help from a friend or a family member, maybe it's a compliment.
mm, mm-hmm.
Just say okay and receive it. Receive it. I think that's a huge deficit in especially our industry is um, the facilitator industry is receiving.
Mm-hmm.
So receive, take it all and drink it up like a big old glass of water when you're really thirsty. And the second one would be I triple dog dare you to put on whatever your favorite song is and just dance.
Just dance it out.
Just dance. Whether you're by yourself, maybe you're with friends, maybe you're at an event or a wedding and you go and request your favorite song and you just go and bust a move. There's no right or wrong way to dance. I'm telling you, there really isn't. I've been a dance educator my whole life. Dance is many things, and the most important thing that dance is freedom and joy and not taking yourself so darn seriously because no one else is. No one
Mm-hmm.
cares.
Mm-hmm.
No one
That is
cares. So just go have a good time.
okay. So everybody, put your favorite song on and bust a move.
Maybe it's even that song, Bust a Move. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, that's great. Well, I am so glad we had this time. It went by so fast. I'm a bit
Did.
marveling at the time. Um, what do you hope people remember the most about this conversation?
I hope they remember to to explore and engage in their reason. What is it that what's your calling? What is that?
Mm,
Let go of the
yeah.
how. Lean into your call. And
Mm,
everything else, and just be patient. The rest will show itself, and little by little by nature, you'll end up in some form of niche if that's what you really want.
Yeah. Yeah. And paying attention to, is that really what you want?
Yeah.
You know,
And
that
forget about
internal.
what other people say you should or shouldn't. I mean, the famous Natalie said this many moons ago, and I've been saying it ever since. You can't shoulda all over yourself. You can't. I don't know if you remember saying that, but I was like,
Yes.
or if you
Shitting on
still say
others,
it,
screwing yourself.
you can't shoulda all over yourself. You can't.
Hmm. Hmm.
It is what it is. So, and just receive. And when these moments of inspiration or these moments of the calling come to you, receive them. Because a lot of the
Hmm.
times we need to feel like we need to make sense of what the calling is, and like we have to put together a 50-page business plan. Like, you do not. Take one step.
Yeah.
Heed the call.
Yes.
That's it. It'll show
Yeah.
itself. You
Yeah.
can get to
Yeah.
the business plan a few years in.
Yeah. Later. That can wait.
Right?
Yeah. 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 There's something you said that I wanted to explore, but I forget now. Yeah, the shoulding and quieting your mind long enough to ask, what do I want? And that actually, if you there's some kind of clip on Instagram I saw of Oprah, and somebody asked her, what's the biggest lesson you learned of all the 30 plus years of interviewing people? And she said, have a goal, figure out what you want. Very few people set goals. And it's an interesting, like, a lot of people wake up and they react, and they forget to
Yeah.
be intentional and to set the goal. And without goals, we're wandering, aimless. So the biggest thing she learned was, what do you want? Ask yourself, what do you want? And that question is a very good self-reflection question. It's a great coaching question, but it's a question that needs to be asked, I think, more of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that what do you want will lead you towards your calling.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What are you called to do? And your reason. I like your reason.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This is so wonderful to reconnect after quite a bit of time. I mean, 10, no, what are we? Not quite 10 years, but 7 years? It's been a while.
6.
Yeah.
What year is it? Where are we? What world are we in?
Where are we? Let's just call it 6.
Yeah.
But 6 years goes by so fast, and it's just such a pleasure to reconnect. And thank you for your wisdom for our audience. And yeah,
Thank you for having me.
yeah. And where can people find you if they want to reach out to you? We're going to put it in the show notes too, but yeah.
Sure. People can find me on Instagram, so just Carla Catherwood.
Mm-hmm.
Find me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a little bit more skewed to like my corporate clients and things like that. But my real life, the real me, you'll find me on Instagram.
Okay.
And not to say that the corporate stuff isn't. That's definitely part of it, but you'll see the full 360 on Instagram for sure.
Okay, great. We'll put your Instagram handle in the show notes and LinkedIn.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much
Carla.
for having me.
My pleasure.